Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. Thanks, sponsors, Topps Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Hunk and the Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, which is going to get a lot of mention today, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. Greg Sobocinski had contacted me with some substantive questions, and more recently he said he had applied to ComC for a position, asked me to look at materials that he sent him and to react to them as a pro bono consultant. Instead of writing him back, I thought I'll just deal with it as a podcast. There may be other people that have similar questions. So here's our conversation. When I read your stuff, I just thought you're an excellent example because you're seemingly well qualified, maybe even overqualified. In fact, if I'm Tim Getch or the ComC people, I'm thinking this guy's got credentials, a lot of ideas. When I was running my company, I was looking for people that were creative and sharp and hardworking and had experience in the industry. But when I read your stuff, I thought, I don't know what your main thing is. That didn't bother me as an employer because I thought, I want to get this guy on my team. We're a growing company. I don't know where we're going to use him. We're going to use him somewhere and add value. But ComC may be looking for a specific position.
Ever since I graduated from college, I've never really worked in a corporate position. It was always me working independently / doing side things, which has its advantages of needing to make things happen in order for compensation and stuff like that.
Did you ever think the way in to the card companies or the grading companies or ComC, any of the larger companies in the industry, that your way in would be through a contract or some kind of a consultation? Many of the guys I hired, I met them at the shows. Then later, if they applied, or if I didn't know them, I would meet them somewhere and I'd get to have a little bit of a face-to-face, or they did surveys for us. So it was a little bit of a try before you fully buy. So have you thought about that, offering up a consultation for ComC or anybody else? Give me a task, give me a project, and I'll do it. Maybe not for free, but I'll show you what I got.
I'd definitely be open to that. The hurdle I've had is getting in touch with the proper people in those proper channels. I've applied to other places too, just to feel the waters out, see what it's like. And my inkling is that a lot of these companies just want somebody who has done some prior role at some other company.
That's a large company mentality. And from everything you've represented yourself, you're not a large company guy. More of a versatile guy, see the opportunity. I think ComC, still in my mind, not a large company. They're still an entrepreneurial company run largely by the founding team. And they're looking for good people to come in. You have credentials, plus you have hobby insights. So I think you'd be a strong candidate. But if there's 10 resumes, digital or otherwise, sitting on the desk, if they don't know you, or if they haven't seen one really good example of your work, either for them or for somebody else, they don't know what your style is. They don't know whether you want to be a leader or whether you want to be a doer or an imitator. All those things. I didn't really hire people blindly or by paper. I always figured out if I could get an interview, I could get the job.
100%. And that's the boat I'm in. I feel like
so if your goal is not to get the job, it's to get the interview. Basically, one way to do it, and you had a number of ideas for them, and you had, I think, too many. If you, instead of going across the landscape with several ideas, which would be very enticing to me, but they may think, no, I just need this problem fixed right now. If you were to lock in on their problem and go a little bit deeper with one thing and just say, you mentioned that you're having an issue with this, here's the way I'd approach it. But then I still wasn't clear from your resume, do you want to be the guy that does it? Do you want to be the guy that directs the team that does it? Do you want to be the guy that outsources it to somebody? What is your personal expertise and either leadership style or your working style? We had guys that wanted to come in and be the boss. I said, wait a minute, I'm already the boss. I don't need another boss. They said, you know what? Let us come in and show what we can do. And we believe that we will percolate up within the organization based on our work ethic and what we can do. Just give us a chance. Most of our best hires were like that. They just got in the door. They showed what they could do, and they did great for a long time. And many of them are now working for other card companies because they parlayed that they had a successful stint with our company. And when they left, I wasn't mad at them. And many left after I left. I couldn't really begrudge that.
Yeah, I see myself as a facilitator. I'm not one to push people aside to want to be in a leadership role for no good reason. I just have ideas. Being in the space for a while and just understanding, it really just comes down to what things would I want as a collector and how do we leverage that from a larger viewpoint.
That's invaluable. I don't even know that you can train that. It's part of who you are, huge advantage.
I think they have a huge position in the market space and even more potential just because they fill this void of having so many individual SKUs for collectors. I think there's still a large swath of people who could use them and don't even know about them or don't even know the extent to which they can leverage even the ability to just buy on site and relist.
But right now you're talking about something conceptually. They are wrestling with that because anybody that starts a business would like to expand their business profitably.
Sure.
But what you're laying out there is not necessarily something where you have to be full-time or you have to be in Redmond in the Seattle area. What you're suggesting is something that could be contract, could be you staying where you are for some period of time and fleshing out some marketing plan. That's what I'm getting at. If you were to say that that's the number one opportunity I see for you, here's the way I would look at it. Here's what I would do. If I got a letter like that, I'd say, tell me more. But the way you approached it, you've been more omnibus. Here's all the ideas I have. Here's some things I think I could do. You may have overwhelmed them. You're probably a strong candidate, but they have other candidates. Give me a small assignment and I'll show you an example of my work.
That's definitely something I would be 100% open for. And that was in part due to the lack of direct communication with people in that process.
It's not just that, because it's not necessarily who you know. I think that's overrated to some degree. Mm-hmm. But I'm not seeing hobby vouches or references of people they would know that would say, Greg is a great guy. So not only are you not connecting yet, I don't think, with the decision maker, the right person there. It can't be name dropping for the sake of name dropping, but if you have close hobby relationships or you're a known quantity to some people they know, that's strong. And I didn't see it. You may have it. When I had people that applied for me and they had worked in a card shop where I knew the owner, or they had been a table holder at shows where I knew the promoter, I had a way to get a secondary reference. So I'm not seeing that with you. I think that would be a nice addition. Now you can use me. And we talked about it, but you're obviously a sharp guy, but there are other sharp guys out there. The combination of having some life skills, some technical skills, as well as the hobby insight, that's powerful.
How do you view the hobby insight component in types of work in the space? I think there are people that may come into the space that have other work experience, but how would you weight as a factor? I'm
going to step on some toes here. There's people that think DEI is the greatest, and some people think DEI is not. Diversity and inclusion, let's just focus on the D and the I. It's good to have diversity. It's good to be inclusive. But it's wrong for a company to say, you know what, we need a marketing group and we need all of them to be in the hobby or all of them to not be in the hobby. It's nice to have people that totally understand the hobby, but it's nice to have somebody in there that doesn't maybe understand the hobby, maybe isn't a collector, because they'll take a different look at it. So in those cases, to me, if I've already got somebody in the hobby that's a marketing person, somebody not in the hobby that's a marketing person, the tie to me goes to the person that has industry insight. I already have some diversity. I want my team to be mainly people that understand our industry. But I don't mind having another person in there that's a brand new collector or something like that, because they might take some fresh approach. So to me, the tiebreaker goes to you, but it's not your lead off. It's just like, well, don't hire me just because I'm diverse. No, I am qualified. I'm going to add some perspective that you don't already have. If you lead off with, hey, hire me because I love the hobby, that's not a winning argument.
The other day, I was thinking about this specific example of card manufacturers who make product, and you might have somebody who says, the goal of our business is obviously to make money. And maybe our goal right now is just to produce as many cards as possible because that'll increase our bottom line. But there's that fine line specifically that pertains to the hobby where you really can't just produce ad infinitum. You have to walk that very carefully. And that's something that maybe somebody who did not have that hobby experience or industry knowledge would just blow right past, as maybe we saw that in the early 90s, and maybe we're seeing it to some extent a little bit right now.
But like you said, if they have 5 years of experience doing the job in an unrelated industry, doing the exact job description of what they're looking for, they might give that person an edge. I don't think I would. If you had 3 years of experience doing a similar job and they had 5 years of experience doing a similar job, to me, 3 is better than 5 if it includes hobby relevant experience, because you're going to be able to attack things more quickly, more effectively. So I'm with you. I'd like to see more people that had hobby insight in the Fanatics ecosystem, Panini, collectors, ComC, all of those.
So how would you have addressed that back in the day, going through this process of hiring people and seeing here are some hobby insights? So what for you was one of the critical factors, or could be hobby related or not hobby related, that you saw that made that conversion of this is a person on the fence to this is a person we hire?
It would be an outstanding person. And I was trying to take the best athlete available. The Dallas Cowboys did in their heyday back in the 70s. They weren't drafting for position. They were drafting for potential all pros or people that could really make a difference. And then they'd find a position for them later. Jasperson, Rich Klein, two notable alums of my company, were not hired for a specific job, but they were unique. They came in, we created jobs for them. My thing for you, Greg, is for them to be so curious or enamored of what you've written them that they say, I'd like to find out more about this guy. It sounds like he's got some good ideas. Michael Jordan, one of the transcendent greatest athletes of all time, been talking about him a lot lately, but he never got the respect as a player until it became so obvious that he was making the people around him better. LeBron James is also a GOAT consideration because of that. Tom Brady, a GOAT. Somehow, regardless of the receivers, he made it work. And so are you the Michael Jordan when he's the leading scorer? Are you the Michael Jordan that facilitates wins for the team, for the organization? And you could be both.
I played basketball in college, and I always saw myself being more facilitator. And I always used to joke because there were times where you have team A and team B in practice, you're scrimmaging. And there were times you have the first stringers out there, and I was a freshman, so I was on that second string. And there were times where the second string for spurts would vastly outplay the first string. And it wasn't because we necessarily had better talent. It was more because we needed each other. You know what I mean? Our passing was better simply because we needed to pass, because we couldn't dribble around. So we had to find other ways to do things. So that's how I see myself, even in this position, or where I'm at now, or as part of an organization, would be in that position to augment what's already there and add where I can.
Okay. What you've just done is you've changed your resume or CV or your recitation into a story. And stories generally are better than lists. When I read your materials that you forwarded on to me, what you'd forward to them, it's a little bit of the TLDR, that it's just a little bit long. And when you highlight too many things, then it's unclear what the rank order is. What is the main thing? You see they have a marketing problem, and you're a marketing guy. You have some marketing training, but you have some hobby marketing instincts too. Anyway, ComC is not the only one that could use help. It's also unclear from your materials. Gosh, I hope I can say this. I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but it's unclear whether you're hungry or not. In other words, it looks like you have a full plate right now. For me, it was hard to figure out what your situation was. From talking to you now and digging deeper, it seems like you're really committed to the industry and you'd love to find a good fit. But I think you need to tailor what you're saying to really focus on some of that rather than your credentials or the many things you could do if you were there. Again, if you got an interview, they might say, you got any other ideas? Say, yeah, I got lots of ideas. But people don't pay for ideas usually. They pay for execution. So if you could show them, give me a chance to execute on one of these, that I could help you expand your awareness. Again, the other thing is there's classically trained marketing people, and there's like me, I'm not classically trained, but I have marketing instincts. There's also marketing people that are very metric driven, and others that don't want to be metric driven because they want to say, hey, wasn't that a beautiful campaign, regardless of whether it was effective. Me as a business guy, I'm thinking, hey, it could be an award-winning campaign, but if it didn't drive the business, if it costs more than what you brought in, that's not good.
The man in the house who